The alarm rang through the Earth Defense Station Harbinger like a church bell on Sunday morning. Admiral Kate Morrison jumped out of her chair in the command center. She had been drinking coffee and reading reports when the sound broke the quiet of space. "What is it?" she asked her communications officer. Lisa Park turned around from her computer screen. Her face was white as paper. "Admiral, we're getting a signal from outside our solar system. It's not one of ours." Kate felt her heart beat faster. For 50 years, humans had been listening to space, hoping to hear from someone else out there. Now it was finally happening. She walked over to Lisa's station and looked at the screen full of numbers and wave patterns. "Can you understand what it says?" Kate asked. Dr. Alex Rodriguez came running into the room. He was the station's expert on languages, and someone had called him from his lab. "I heard the alarm. Is this it? Are we really talking to aliens?" Lisa nodded and played the message. Strange sounds filled the room. They were not quite music and not quite talking, but something in between. Alex listened with his eyes closed, like he was trying to solve a puzzle in his head. "Play it again," he said. The message played 3 more times. Each time, Alex wrote notes on his tablet. Finally, he looked up at Kate with a worried expression. "I think I understand some of it," he said. "They're using math patterns and simple pictures to talk to us. The basic message is clear." "What does it say?" Kate asked. Alex read from his notes. "Primitive species of Sol 3. Prepare for integration into the galactic harmony. Resistance is futile and unnecessary." The room went very quiet. Kate felt like someone had just told her that her house was on fire. This was not the friendly hello from space that humans had dreamed about for so long. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Pretty sure," Alex said. "The word patterns repeat, and the math is simple. They're telling us to get ready to join their group, and they think fighting back would be stupid." Lisa's computer beeped with another message. "Admiral, there's more coming in." This time the message was longer. Alex worked for 20 minutes to figure it out. The news got worse with each sentence. "They call themselves the Zephyrian Collective." Alex explained to Kate and the growing crowd of officers in the command room. "They say they've been watching us for a long time. They think we're cute but dumb, like pet dogs. They want us to work for them." Captain John Hayes joined the group. He was the commander of all the warships around the station. He was a big man with gray hair and serious eyes. "How long do we have?" 30 days, Alex said. 30 Earth days, to voluntarily submit to their authority. That's exactly how they put it. Kate felt anger growing in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "What else do we know about them?" Alex kept reading his translation. "They have records of other species. They've met 17 different worlds. They talk about integration like it's a normal business deal." "What happened to those other 17 species?" Captain Hayes asked. Alex was quiet for a long moment. He read through his notes again, checking his work. "I don't think they exist anymore," he finally said. The room felt colder. Kate looked around at her officers. These were good people who had spent their lives protecting Earth. Now they faced something bigger than anyone had ever imagined. "Get me a direct line to President Cross," Kate ordered. "Send copies of everything to Earth Defense Command and all our allies." Lisa worked at her station. "Connection established, Admiral." President Diana Cross appeared on the main screen. She was in her office in Washington, and it was clearly late at night there. "Admiral Morrison, I understand we have a situation." "Yes, Madam President. We have confirmed contact with an alien species. It's not friendly contact," Kate explained. Everything they had learned. President Cross listened without interrupting. Her face got more serious with each detail. "How sure are we about the translation?" the president asked. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. "About 80% sure, Madam President. The math and pictures are clear. The tone is like a parent talking to a small child." President Cross was quiet for a moment. "Admiral, I want you to keep monitoring their communications. Learn everything you can. I'm calling an emergency meeting with the cabinet and our allies." "What should we tell them?" Kate asked. "Nothing yet. Let them think we're just a primitive species trying to figure out their message. Buy us time. The connection ended. Kate turned to her team. You heard the president. Alex, I want you and Lisa working together. Learn their language as fast as you can. John, get your ships ready, but keep them looking normal. If these aliens have been watching us, they think they know what we can do. Captain Hayes smiled for the first time since the message arrived. They might be surprised. Over the next few hours, more messages came from the aliens. Alex and Lisa worked together to understand them. The picture got clearer and scarier. The Zephyrians had a simple way of doing business. They would arrive at a world, demand surrender, and then take everything they wanted. The local species would work for them until they were no longer useful. Admiral, Alex said during one of their meetings, I found something else in their database. They're not trying to hide their information from us. They think we're too stupid to understand it. What did you find? Records of their previous integrations. Detailed records. Alex looked sick. Those 17 species didn't just disappear. They were worked to death, used up and thrown away. Kate felt her anger growing again. But this time it was cold and focused. How long before they arrive? Based on their messages, about 28 days now. Kate nodded. Keep working. I have some calls to make. As the hours passed, Kate coordinated with military leaders around Earth and in space. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species, but humans had been preparing for war among the stars for decades. Ships, weapons, and soldiers that the aliens knew nothing about. The Zephyrians were about to learn that humans could be very disappointing neighbors. President Diana Cross stood at the podium in the United Nations General Assembly Hall. Every seat was filled. Representatives from every nation on Earth had come for this emergency meeting. The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. Fellow leaders of Earth, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. 3 days ago, we received our first message from another species among the stars. We had hoped this day would bring us joy and wonder. Instead, it brings us sadness. She paused and looked across the faces in the crowd. The aliens who contacted us call themselves the Zephyrian Collective. They did not come to share knowledge or friendship. They came to make us their slaves. Angry voices filled the hall. President Cross raised her hand for silence. We are not angry at their arrival, she continued. We are disappointed. We had hoped that any species smart enough to travel between stars would have grown beyond the need to hurt others. We believed that wisdom would come with such great power. We were wrong. In the back of the hall, Defense Secretary Carl Thompson watched the faces of the world leaders. Some looked scared, others looked angry, but most looked determined. The Zephyrians have given us 30 days to surrender, President Cross said. They expect us to give up without a fight. They think we are too weak and stupid to resist them. They have made a mistake. She took a deep breath. We will not surrender. We will not become slaves. We will defend our world and our freedom, but we will do it the right way. Secretary of State Amy Foster had helped write this speech. She knew what was coming next. We will show these aliens that being disappointed can be more dangerous than being angry, President Cross said. We will teach them that underestimating others is a costly mistake, and we will prove that humans fight hardest when we fight for what is right. The hall erupted in applause. When it finally got quiet, President Cross delivered her final message. To the Zephyrian Collective, if you are listening to this broadcast, know this. We are not mad at you. We are just disappointed, and we are armed. While President Cross spoke, to the world, Admiral Kate Morrison was coordinating the biggest military operation in human history. She stood in the command center of the Harbinger, surrounded by screens showing ships and bases around Earth and throughout the solar system. General Ryan Scott appeared on one screen from his command post in Colorado. All ground defenses are ready, Admiral. Every major city has hidden weapons that their scans won't detect. Admiral Patricia Wells joined from the moon base. The space fleet is in position. We have ships they don't know about and weapons they've never seen. Kate nodded. What about Operation Looking Glass? Already starting, General Scott replied. We're moving civilians out of target areas. The aliens think they're going to bomb cities full of people. They're going to find empty buildings instead. Dr. Alex Rodriguez hurried into the command center with Dr. Michelle Kim and Ben Clark. They had been working without sleep for 3 days, studying every alien message. "Admiral, we've learned more about how they think," Alex said. "These Zephyrians only understand force. In their society, the strongest person gives orders to everyone else. They can't imagine why anyone would fight back if they think they're going to lose," Dr. Kim added. "They've conquered 17 other worlds, and every single conquest was easy. The other species saw their big ships and just gave up. The Zephyrians have never had to fight a real war." "What about their technology?" Kate asked. "Advanced in some ways, but they have weaknesses," Ben Clark explained. "They rely too much on their computers to think for them, and they've never fought anyone who could fight back effectively." Kate smiled. "Then they're in for a surprise." The alien ships appeared on Earth's sensors 18 days later. 12 large vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel just outside the moon's orbit. They were impressive ships, gleaming silver and larger than anything humans had built. The lead ship sent a message to Earth. Dr. Rodriguez translated it quickly. "They're ordering all human leaders to come aboard their ships for processing," he told Kate. "They want us to bring lists of our population and resources." "What should we tell them?" Kate asked. "The truth," President Cross said from the main screen. "We're disappointed in them and we'd like them to leave." Kate had Lisa Park broadcast the response on all frequencies. "Attention Zephyrian vessels. You are not welcome in our solar system. We have no interest in joining your collective. Please leave our space immediately." The alien response came back in minutes. This time the tone was different. Angry. "They're calling us defective," Alex translated. "They say we're too stupid to understand our situation. They're giving us one more chance to surrender before they start bombing our cities." "And our answer?" Kate asked. President Cross appeared calm on the screen. "Tell them we understand our situation perfectly. We're saying no." The alien ships moved into attack formation around Earth. Their weapons powered up and scanners swept across the planet looking for targets. What they found confused them. New York was empty. London was empty. Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, Los Angeles. All the great cities of Earth showed no signs of life. Their scanners detected the buildings but no people. Admiral Morrison watched the alien ships on her screens. She could imagine the confusion on board those vessels. They had expected to find crowded cities full of helpless humans. Instead, they found ghost towns. "Admiral," Captain Hayes reported from his command ship. "The aliens are arguing among themselves. Dr. Rodriguez is picking up their internal communications. They don't understand what's happening," Alex said. "One of their commanders is saying humans are too primitive to evacuate entire cities. Another is saying it might be a trap. Their leader is telling them both to stop talking and start bombing." Kate felt her heart beat faster. This was it. The moment that would decide whether humans would remain free or become slaves. "All ships, prepare for battle," she ordered. "Remember, we're not trying to destroy them all. We just need to show them that attacking Earth is a bad idea." The first alien energy beam lanced down toward New York City. It hit empty buildings and turned glass and steel into vapor. More beams followed, targeting cities around the world. But the cities were empty, and the humans were ready to fight back. "Admiral," Captain Hayes reported, "the aliens have just fired on our world. Permission to return fire?" Kate Morrison looked at the screen showing 12 alien ships attacking her home planet. She thought about President Cross's speech and the disappointment in her voice. "Permission granted," she said. "Show them what disappointed humans can do." The first human ship to return fire was Captain John Hayes's destroyer, the Liberty. It had been hiding behind a piece of space junk near the moon, looking like just another broken satellite. When Hayes fired his plasma cannons, the alien commander learned his first hard lesson about humans. The blue energy beams cut through the alien ship's shields like they were made of paper. Explosions rippled along the side of the Zephyrian cruiser. Alarms started ringing on alien bridges throughout their fleet. "What just happened?" the alien fleet commander demanded over their communication system. Dr. Rodriguez was listening to every word from his station on the Harbinger. The primitive weapons shouldn't have been able to do that, came the reply from the damaged ship. Our shields should have stopped them easily. Admiral Kate Morrison smiled as she watched more human ships reveal themselves. They had been hiding throughout the solar system, disguised as asteroids, space stations, and broken equipment. Now they dropped their disguises and opened fire. The aliens had expected to fight primitive rockets and simple missiles. Instead, they faced plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and energy weapons that human scientists had been developing in secret for 20 years. Their shields are down to 60%, reported Commander Susan Blake from her battlecruiser. These aliens build tough ships, but they're not built for real fighting. The alien response was swift but panicked. They fired back at the human ships, but their aim was wild. They had never fought an enemy that could actually hurt them. Captain Hayes led Squadron Alpha in a coordinated attack on the alien command ship. His 6 destroyers moved like dancers, dodging alien fire while targeting the enemy's weapon systems. Hayes to all ships, he broadcast. Remember, we want to disable them, not destroy them. We need prisoners who can answer questions. The battle was nothing like what the aliens expected. In their 17 previous conquests, enemy ships had either run away or been destroyed in the first few minutes. These humans kept fighting and kept hurting them. On the alien command ship, Fleet Commander Vex High watched his tactical display with growing fear. 3 of his ships were heavily damaged, and the humans were targeting specific systems with surgical precision. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Our intelligence said they were a primitive species with simple weapons." His science officer looked terrified. "Commander, I think our intelligence was wrong. These humans have been hiding their real capabilities. Down." On Earth, Colonel Frank Murphy prepared for the next phase of the battle. His Marines were getting ready to board one of the disabled alien ships. They had trained for this mission for months, but nobody knew what they would find inside. "Remember," Murphy told his team as they loaded into their assault shuttles, "these aliens have never fought hand-to-hand combat. They rely completely on their technology. Take that away and they're helpless." Sergeant Nancy White checked her equipment one more time. "Sir, what if they're really strong, stronger than humans?" "Then, we'll find out together," Murphy replied. "But according to our analysis of their ships, they're probably not built for physical fighting." The first boarding action took place on an alien cruiser that Captain Hayes had disabled. Murphy's Marines cut through the hull with plasma torches and entered the ship in full combat armor. What they found surprised them. The aliens were tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. They looked fragile, like they might break if someone touched them too hard. When the first Marine appeared in their corridor, the aliens just stared. "They're not even trying to fight," Corporal Kevin Brown reported over the radio. "They're just standing there looking confused." Murphy moved through the ship with his team. They found the bridge where 5 aliens sat at their control stations. The aliens watched the humans approach but made no move to resist. "Do any of you speak our language?" Murphy asked. One of the aliens, wearing what looked like a uniform with more decorations, spoke in broken English. "You're not supposed to be here. This is not how it works." "How what works?" Murphy asked. "Conquest," the alien replied. "Lower species do not board our ships. Lower species surrender or die. This is not correct." Murphy realized something important. These aliens had never lost a battle. They had no idea what to do when someone fought back successfully. Back in space, the battle was turning in humanity's favor. The alien fleet was in chaos. Their command ship was crippled, and half their vessels were damaged or disabled. Admiral Morrison received reports from all over the solar system. "Admiral, this is General Scott. Ground-based defenses report no alien landing attempts. They seem too confused by the space battle to try attacking our cities." "Good," Kate replied. "What's the status of the alien fleet?" Commander Blake answered from her ship. 8 of their 12 vessels are out of action. The remaining 4 are trying to retreat, but they're not moving very fast. Dr. Rodriguez interrupted with urgent news. "Admiral, I'm picking up communications. Between the alien ships and someone much farther away, they're calling for help. Can you understand what they're saying?" "Most of it. They're reporting to their homeworld that they've encountered impossible resistance from a supposedly primitive species. They're asking for instructions. Kate felt a moment of worry. What kind of instructions? The homeworld is ordering them to retreat and send a full report. They want to know everything about human capabilities before they decide what to do next. As the remaining alien ships limped away from Earth, President Cross addressed the world again. This time she spoke, directly to the retreating aliens. "Attention, Zephyrian fleet," she said, her voice broadcast on all frequencies. "We warned you that we were disappointed in your behavior. We also mentioned that we were armed. You chose not to listen." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are not monsters like you. We could have destroyed all your ships, but we chose not to. We disabled them instead and took your people prisoner. They will be treated well and returned to you when this is over." The president's voice grew firmer. "Go back to your leaders. Tell them that Earth is not interested in joining your empire, but also tell them that we are willing to discuss peace, real peace, between equals." In the command center of the Harbinger, Kate watched the last alien ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. The first battle was over, but she knew this was just the beginning. "Admiral," Dr. Rodriguez said, "I intercepted one more message from the retreating ships. They're telling their homeworld that humans are a rogue species that must be eliminated." Kate nodded. She had expected this. "How long before they come back?" "Based on their travel speed, probably 3 to 4 months. And next time they'll bring a much bigger fleet." Kate looked around at her tired but victorious crew. They had won the first battle by being smarter and more determined than their enemies. The next battle would be much harder. "Then we'd better get ready," she said, "and we'd better find some allies." 3 months after the first battle, Earth's long-range sensors picked up something that made Admiral Kate Morrison's heart race. A massive fleet was approaching from deep space. This time, the aliens weren't taking any chances. "How many ships?" Kate asked her sensor operator. "Over 300, Admiral, and they're much bigger than the first fleet." Dr. Alex Rodriguez was working at his station nearby. "I'm picking up their communications. The fleet commander is called High Commander Zarthek. He's broadcasting a message to Earth." The alien's voice filled the command center when Alex played the translation. "Humans of Sol 3, you have been declared a rogue species by the Galactic Council. Your resistance to integration has made you a threat to galactic peace. Prepare for elimination." Kate felt her stomach drop. This wasn't about conquest anymore. The aliens wanted to wipe out humanity completely. "Any word from our friends?" she asked. Captain John Hayes smiled from his position at the tactical display. "Actually, yes. We've got company coming." On the main screen, new ships began appearing throughout the solar system. But these weren't Zephyrian vessels. They looked completely different, with curved hulls and bright markings. "Admiral Morrison," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Ambassador Veltar of the Qatar Republic. We have come to assist Earth in its fight against the Zephyrian Empire." Kate had been hoping for this moment for weeks. Ever since the first battle, Dr. Rodriguez had been sending messages to every frequency they could find, telling the galaxy about Earth's victory over the Zephyrians. "Ambassador Veltar, this is Admiral Morrison. We're honored by your presence, but we have to ask, why are you helping us?" The alien's response surprised everyone in the command center. "Because you did something that we thought was impossible. You defeated a Zephyrian fleet in open battle. For 200 years, our people lived as slaves under their rule. We only won our freedom 5 years ago, and it cost us millions of lives." More ships kept appearing. Dr. Michelle Kim was tracking all the new arrivals. "Admiral, we're seeing vessels from at least 6 different species. The Qatar Republic, the Andromedan Coalition, something called the Free Worlds Alliance." Ambassador Veltar continued explaining. When word spread that humans had beaten the Zephyrians, it gave hope to oppressed peoples throughout the galaxy. Dozens of slave worlds have risen up in rebellion. The Zephyrian Empire is fighting wars on 40 different fronts. Kate realized what this meant. So this isn't really about Earth anymore. "No, Admiral Morrison. This is about freedom for everyone. Earth has become the symbol of resistance against tyranny. If the Zephyrians destroy you, they destroy that symbol. If you survive, the rebellion continues. President Diana Cross joined the conversation from Earth. Ambassador, what can you tell us about this Zarthek and his fleet? High Commander Zarthek is their best military leader, Veltar replied. He has never lost a battle. His fleet contains their most advanced ships and their most experienced soldiers. They are not here to conquer. They are here to make an example. The combined fleet that gathered around Earth was impressive. Over 400 ships from 7 different species, all united by their hatred of Zephyrian oppression. But the enemy fleet was larger and more powerful. Kate knew this battle would be much harder than the first one. General Frank Murphy, now promoted after his successful boarding actions, was preparing ground forces for the possibility that some aliens might reach Earth's surface. He worked with Major Helen Davis and Captain Steve Martinez to set up defenses around major cities. Sir, Major Davis reported, the alien prisoners we captured are asking to speak with you. Murphy was surprised. The Zephyrian prisoners had been cooperative but quiet for months. What do they want? They want to help fight against Zarthek's fleet. This was unexpected. Murphy went to the detention facility where the captured aliens were held. They were being treated well with comfortable quarters and good food. The Zephyrian who had spoken to Murphy during the boarding action was waiting for him. His name was Sub-Commander Rexhai, and he had learned to speak English much better during his time as a prisoner. General Murphy, Rexhai said, I must tell you something important about High Commander Zarthek. He will not just attack your military. He will target your civilians, your cities, your children. This is how he breaks the spirit of resistance. Murphy felt anger growing in his chest. Why are you telling me this? Because in 3 months as your prisoner I have learned more about honor than I learned in 30 years as a Zephyrian soldier, Rexhai replied. You feed us, give us medical care, treat us with respect. My own commanders would have killed me for failing in battle. Another prisoner stepped forward. General, there are others among Zarthek's fleet who think like us. Lower caste soldiers who are tired of fighting wars for the upper castes. If you can get a message to them. Murphy looked at the aliens who had once been his enemies. What kind of message? Tell them that there is another way. Tell them that Earth offers freedom, not just to humans, but to anyone willing to live in peace. The final battle began 2 days later. Zarthek's fleet attacked with overwhelming force, targeting both the military ships and Earth itself. But this time, the defenders were ready. The combined fleet fought with perfect coordination. Qatar ships provided long-range fire support, while Andromedan fighters engaged enemy squadrons. Human vessels used their proven tactics to disable key targets. Admiral Kate Morrison commanded the defense from the Harbinger. She watched as the battle raged across the entire solar system. Ships exploded and died on both sides, but the defenders held their ground. Admiral, Dr. Rodriguez reported, I'm picking up transmissions from inside the Zephyrian fleet. Some of their ships are not responding to orders. What do you mean? I think they're mutinying. Lower caste crews are refusing to fight. Some are actually switching sides. The tide of battle began to turn when 3 Zephyrian cruisers, suddenly, stopped firing on human ships and started attacking their own fleet instead. The rebellion that had started on distant worlds was now happening inside Zarthek's own forces. High Commander Zarthek found himself fighting a war on 2 fronts. His enemies in front of him were determined and well coordinated. His enemies. Behind him were his own soldiers who had decided they no longer wanted to serve an empire built on oppression. When the shooting finally stopped, Zarthek's flagship was surrounded by human and allied vessels. The proud commander who had never lost a battle was now a prisoner himself. Kate Morrison received his surrender personally. High Commander, you and your remaining forces will be treated according to the laws of war. Your wounded will receive medical care and your dead will be honored. Zarthek looked at her with confusion. Why? We came here to destroy you. Because that's what civilized people do, Kate replied. Maybe it's time your people learned the difference. As news of the victory spread throughout the galaxy, more worlds declared their independence from the Zephyrian Empire. The age of galactic tyranny was ending. And it had started with humans who were simply disappointed in their neighbors. 1 year after the Great Battle, Admiral Kate Morrison stood in a courtroom that had never existed before. The Galactic War Crimes Tribunal was meeting for the first time in history, and beings from 43 different worlds had come to Earth to watch justice being served. High Commander Zarthek sat in the defendant's chair, flanked by 12 other Zephyrian commanders. They looked smaller now, without their impressive uniforms and weapons, just ordinary people who had made terrible choices. This court will hear charges of genocide, slavery, and crimes against sapient beings, announced Judge Patricia Wells, the former Earth Admiral, who now served as the tribunal's Chief Justice. The defendants are accused of destroying 17 civilizations and enslaving millions of innocent people. Kate watched from the gallery as evidence was presented. Former slaves from dozens of worlds testified about the horrors they had endured. The Zephyrian Empire's own records were used to prove their crimes, but this was not a revenge trial. President Diana Cross had insisted that the proceedings follow Earth's highest standards of justice. Every defendant had a lawyer. Every piece of evidence was carefully examined. The rights that the Zephyrians had denied to others were given freely to them. Dr. Alex Rodriguez had spent months learning the languages of all the witness species. He served as the chief translator, making sure that every word was understood by everyone in the courtroom. The prosecution calls Sub-Commander Rexhai to the stand, announced the prosecutor. Rexhai, the Zephyrian prisoner who had helped humanity during the final battle, walked slowly to the witness chair. He had volunteered to testify against his former commanders. Sub-Commander, the prosecutor began, please tell the court about the standard operating procedures for Zephyrian conquest. Rexhai spoke quietly but clearly. We would arrive at a world and demand immediate surrender. If they refused, we would bomb their cities until they changed their minds. Once they surrendered, we would take their strongest people as workers and leave the rest to die slowly. And how many worlds did you personally participate in conquering? 7 worlds, Rexhai answered. I thought it was normal. I thought it was right. The commanders told us that other species were inferior and deserved to serve us. Kate saw tears in the eyes of many observers. These were beings whose families and friends had died in Zephyrian attacks. The trial lasted 3 months. When it ended, Zarthek and 8 other commanders were found guilty of the worst crimes. They were sentenced to life in prison, working to help rebuild the worlds they had destroyed. 4 commanders, including Rexhai, were found guilty of lesser crimes, but given reduced sentences because they had helped the prosecution and shown genuine regret for their actions. After the trial, Kate attended the first meeting of the Galactic Liberation Council. The meeting was held in a huge new building in New York, constructed specifically for this purpose. Representatives from free worlds across the galaxy gathered to discuss their future. President Cross opened the meeting with words that would be remembered for generations. We gather here not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. We come from different worlds, different species, different cultures, but we share the same dream of freedom and peace. Ambassador Veltar of the Qatar Republic stood to address the assembly. 1 year ago, the humans of Earth taught us something important. They showed us that being disappointed in evil can be more powerful than being angry at it. They fought, not for conquest, but for the right to remain free. The Council voted unanimously to establish its permanent headquarters on Earth. They also voted to create the Galactic Peace Fleet, with Admiral Kate Morrison as its first commander. General Frank Murphy took on a new role as director of the Interspecies Military Academy. The academy would train soldiers from all member worlds, not to fight wars of conquest, but to protect the innocent and keep the peace. His first class included humans like Lieutenant Sarah Connor and aliens like Flight Leader Kexmar of the Centaurian Free State. They studied together, trained together, and learned that cooperation was stronger than competition. Dr. Rodriguez became the head of the new Cultural Exchange Institute. His job was to help different species understand each other and avoid the misunderstandings that led to conflict. Working with alien scientists like Dr. Quinval from Andromeda, he documented the crimes of the Zephyrian Empire and helped former slave worlds rebuild their cultures and histories. The former Zephyrian territories were reorganized into autonomous regions, Many lower caste Zephyrians chose to stay and work with the liberation forces rather than return to their rigid homeworld society. Captain John Hayes commanded a mixed-species crew aboard the new starship Unity. His first officer was a former Zephyrian named Valrex who had joined the rebellion during the final battle. Captain, Valrex reported during their first patrol mission, "We're receiving a distress call from the Kepler system. Pirates are attacking a colony ship." Hayes smiled. This was the kind of mission he enjoyed, protecting innocent people instead of fighting wars. Set course for Kepler, maximum speed. As the Unity raced to help strangers in need, Hayes reflected on how much had changed. A year ago, humans had been alone in the galaxy. Now they were part of a community that spanned hundreds of worlds. Back on Earth, Kate Morrison worked in her new office overlooking the harbor where ships from dozens of worlds came and went every day. Earth had become the diplomatic center of the galaxy, not through conquest but through the simple act of treating others with respect. Her assistant brought her the daily intelligence reports. Most were routine, trade disputes, minor territorial disagreements, requests for assistance with natural disasters. But one report made her pause. Dr. Rodriguez had intercepted communications from the far edge of the galaxy. A new empire, calling itself the Void Dominion, had taken notice of the Sol Alliance and was mobilizing its forces. Kate sighed and forwarded the report to President Cross with a brief note. "Madam President, it looks like we have another opportunity to be disappointed in our neighbors." She leaned back in her chair and looked out at the bustling harbor. The galaxy was a big place, full of many different kinds of people. Some would be friends, some would be enemies, and some would just need time to learn the difference between right and wrong. But whatever came next, humanity would face it the same way they had faced the Zephyrians, with determination, with principle, and with the knowledge that being disappointed in evil was often the first step toward defeating it. The stars were calling and humanity was ready to answer.